All right, today we're gonna put in this Sabbadius Wawa drop-in kit. So it's just the guts of a Wawa with a foot switch. This one has true bypass. You can order it without true bypass. These three wires go to the potentiometer. And I'm using my old crybaby shell that I put the original drop-in kit years and years ago, and that was an Area 51 drop-in kit. And you can see this thing's been around. I think I bought this in the 80s. And the problem with it, and one thing we're gonna try to fix, is the pedal doesn't stay in any position. It just falls down. Now I've got two wah pots. This is a spare for my Area 51 Clyde clone. And this is one I just got in from the UK, and it's made by CTS for Castledine. It's an ICAR pot. It's supposed to be pretty much the same thing as they put in the Italian walls in the 60s and 70s. So I'm gonna install this one first. Now the one thing that's really confusing with these is that, I don't know if you can see, but the pinion gears have one of them is a little bit bigger than the other, and they have different numbers of teeth. So to match up with the rack on the pedal, you gotta be careful, because I was reading in some forums where the rack didn't match up with the pinion gear on the pot, and they had to order either a new gear or a new rack. So these, I think this one has 14 total teeth and this one has 15. So, and some have 16, some have 18. So you gotta be aware of that. All right, to get this treadle off, this top piece, you have to drive this pin out. Now, actually, you're supposed to have it heeled down, which this is just stuff I found on the internet. It's not the easiest thing to get out. I think once you get it permanently out, you got to put it straight. Well, I seriously could not get this thing out, the pin. I went both directions. I know I saw somewhere on the internet where I couldn't find it again, but I think it's supposed to go out the instrument side. I'm not sure if it makes a difference, but there is a little spline, I think, on one side. Either way, in the process of beating the crud out of it, I re-tensioned it somehow so it stays up. Shoot, I might take that rubber pad off the back there. But it does stay up now. I don't know if I ruined it or not. I should have taken the old kit out of there. Things are rattling around in there. Anyway, it was a lot of banging. Okay, we're learning the old millstep hard way here. It's not the best way. So maybe you can get some tips from me making mistakes. Number one rule now, before you start pounding on the treadle and the pin and trying to get that out, take the old drop-in kit out. This is the inductor from my tried and true Area 51 drop-in kit that I've had for years. And the inductor conductors, or whatever it was sticking out here to mount it to the board, snapped completely off. All right, got everything out, screws out, DC jack, which was kind of tight, but here it comes. There's the kit. Area 51 kit. So now, I tell you what, now that I look at it, it would have been much better just to get a new shell instead of salvaging this one, but we'll see if I can get it to work. All right, I'm doing all this backwards. Got the jacks in, but I don't have them tight. I just didn't feel like taking them back out. But for this board to fit, since there's no hole here for this screw, I've got to cut this thing off right at the nut there. It holds that tension spring on the other side. So once I cut that, then I can put the screw that mounts the board, I can put it right there. There's also another one here where they were mounted, but this one doesn't have a hole in it, so it's just mounted in one spot. And Dremels are handy little tools when it comes to this type of work. Let's see if we can cut this thing. All right. That should do it. Hopefully doesn't touch anything metal on here. I'm going to put a piece of electrical tape over that so that it doesn't touch anything. All right, I got the board mounted. The only thing that's holding it in is that one screw right there. And I think it's a ground too, because I noticed there was some solder around that screw hole. So I still need to tighten the jacks up. Pot's going in next. So you take the pot, just loosen this nut up here. And then you put these two big washers on each side of and the terminals need to be up. Put that in there like that. Perfect fit. See? Just tighten up that nut where the terminals are looking straight up. Put your treadle in there, your rack. Hopefully, I haven't checked the rack. Hopefully the teeth line up well enough. That could be an issue. Seems like it's working fine. All right, let's get this thing tight so it doesn't move around. Where's my little, I think that's pretty tight. I hope it's lining up correctly. I think it is. Yeah, now the trick is getting it adjusted right. So I'll show you how to do that. All right. Got the pot in there. Now, I notice there's a lot of rotation on this Castledine ICAR pot. So you really, a lot of times you'll adjust it to where you have maybe one tooth towards a treble. The treble would be the pedal all the way down. And plus, you have to push it to hit the foot switch, which I don't have the foot switch adjusted yet. But just push it down as far as it'll go. And then give yourself probably one tooth or so, because you want to be able to flip the switch without hitting the end of the travel of the pot on the treble side, or you're going to break something. It goes in, back it off a little bit, get the gear in there. Now, as I expected, that screw hole, that little plastic thing that holds the rack in, is stripped out, but And it's been like that for a long time and it still works. Look at that, it's, you know, it looks like it's ready to go. I just have to tighten these jacks up a little bit, put a battery in, and we'll go try it out. Well, I also have to adjust this switch so that when you step all the way down on it, it'll switch. And then sometimes those rubber pads make it almost impossible to do it. It's only got one pad on there, but it looks like I'm gonna have to raise the switch a little bit. No biggie. And the only way to raise the switch at this point, because this nut is all the way down, that's the height adjustment. So I'm gonna have to take this plastic washer out of there. That'll let it go up a little higher, but now it's probably gonna be too high. And then you adjust it with this nut. Put this thing just a little bit so it's not so high. Okay, it's a little bit higher now. Just to see. That's got to be right. You just gotta. Yeah, it's still gotta go higher. You can also take those rubber pads off, but sometimes I like it just so that I don't accidentally shut the wall off when I don't want to or turn it on. All right, it's perfect right where it is now. So when I compress that rubber pad, it turns it on and off. I just have to tighten it up, put the base on, battery, and we'll go try it out. Oh, this is, yeah, like I said, I'm gonna cut this one. Let me clip this right now. Don't clip any wires. There we go, don't need that there. Now we get a little bit more slack. We can move these wires to the terminals they need to go to. All right, I talked to Sabbadius and he said the double blues go on the front there, the yellow goes in the center, and the black goes on the other end. Sticking them underneath just because they just kind of stay in place and it's much easier that way. I love the smell of solder in the morning. Probably carcinogenic. What is that? Yeah. Got some insulation in there somehow. Whoa. Well, I gotta clean that up a little bit. You get the idea. All right, looking good. I got it soldered up right there. Everything's working. You can hear the switch. And so let's see what it sounds like.